Welcome to the Gestalt 3-Minute series. This is unit number 14, Paradoxical Theory of Change. So that's another mouthful. What do we mean by that? Well, every psychotherapy implicitly or explicitly has its theory of change. How does change occur? How are we facilitating it? People come to therapy because they want to change, basically. They feel stuck in some way. So in Gestalt, what we're interested in is an existential approach to change, you could say. That is, we believe that by being more fully yourself, more in the present, and being more with what is, change will spontaneously occur. Now that sounds almost like magical thinking, but in my experience, it's very much the case. There's a psychiatrist who was a Gestalt therapist, Arnold Beiser, who first sort of really encapsulated this theory, you could say, this way of understanding change, and it came out of his own life experience because he was at the age of 20-something, he was a national tennis champion, and he was a doctor, and he was on his way to, I think, the Korean War. He was on a train, and he contracted polio, and his life just stopped. And he experienced despair and hopelessness and emptiness. But through some very gradual internal process, he was able to find a renewed sense of meaning, even though his circumstances hadn't changed. And that very much related to his being able to be fully present. So that's what we're helping people do, is we're helping them be fully present with what is. Now, that, as I say, being with what is a kind of existential notion, because rather than trying to change things or improve them, Fritz critically talked about the self-improvement racket. People are always trying to be better or thinner or stronger or more popular. What we do is we start with who you are, and we explore more fully who you are. We understand who you are in more depth. We find ways to open up and embrace who you are, even if you're critical about yourself, even if you think there's things about yourself that are abrasive or troublesome in relationship, which might well be true. We still want to step into the what-isness of that, the what-isness of your abrasiveness before we soften you or give you better skills at communicating. Let's find out about being abrasive. And often we go to the person's context, their original creative adjustment, how they develop that abrasiveness. We understand it more fully. We go into the experience of abrasive, when you're being abrasive and rough. What kind of voice do you use, and what do you feel? What do you actually feel in your body when you're being abrasive and rough? And when you're being abrasive, here's my experience of you. So we step into that non-critically to really be with it. And we find that when we bring awareness in this way, then indeed change more spontaneously happens. And that's partly why the Gestalt process for a therapist is kind of, you could say, almost relaxing, because we're not trying hard to do anything. We're just helping the person come to themselves. So we don't have to build anything or take them anywhere. We take them on a journey into the present, into themselves. And that's very liberating for both client and therapist. And the person also is more likely to feel accepted. And through this process, again and again, I've seen it happen, change will naturally happen. Whereas Fritz Perls says, which is the more you try to change, the more you get resistance, the more you get impasse, you get all the kind of stuckness that people come to therapy with.